In today's video, I want to talk to you about personalized hairline designs and how we create the perfect hairline for you. My name's Quaye. I'm a clinical trichologist for the IoT and specialist scalp micropigmentation artist, helping you guys that are struggling with hair loss. Okay, so in today's video, I want to talk to you all about personalized hairline designs when it comes to scalp micropigmentation and how we create the new perfect hairline just for you. So first off, you might be coming here. I get some of my clients like yourselves, whether you've been researching for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or whether you've just seen me on the internet somewhere, seen scalp micropigmentation and think, right, you know what? That's what I need. Now, people are always in different stages of research. And I suppose when you're researching, one of the things you're gonna come up with, or one of the things that are gonna concern you when it comes to getting your SMP is, what hairline am I gonna have? So today in this video, I'm gonna show you how I create our hairlines here in the Scalp Nation HQ, and it works a dream every single time. So first off, I wanna just start by saying, you know, when it comes to hairlines, we wanna work with you. I've got an extensive amount of knowledge when it comes to hairlines and what I think is going to look right for you, but you may have some input based on what you've seen and just what you like, what you fancy. So we work with you. We're not going to get you in the chair and say, look, this is what you get in, whether you like it or not, pay me. That's not what we want to do here. So what I will say is, if you come up with some sort of outrageous idea when it comes to a hairline and I don't feel comfortable with it, I'm not going to do it. Simple as that. I just ain't gonna do it. So we've kind of both got to be happy with what's going on. Not to say that if you did want something crazy, and I have seen some crazy ones out there, you may well go and be able to get that from someone, but it's not going to be me. But usually you come in and you've got a good idea because you would have seen our previous videos when it comes to SMP. So you'd have a good idea on what you kind of want. Now, some people come in with photos from our website showing, look, you know, I like this, I like that. And then we're going to try and get you as close to that as possible. Other times people come in and they're like, you know what, Will, you're the professional, I trust you, deliver. And again, that's what we do. But even if that was the case, I'm not just going to sketch your hairline out and then just go ham. You get a good opportunity to see what's going on. So if you are one of these guys that bring in photos, that is definitely a help. Based on your head shape, age, skin tone, ethnicity, all be sort of markers on where we can and can't go when it comes to your hairline. But the more information you can bring, the better. It just gives us a starting point. I'm going to bring up a video on screen now. So this is kind of what happens in a first session. So we don't rush this part, because other than the depth and the pressure of where we're applying the pigment, this is probably the single most important part when it comes to your SMP, because it's what people are going to be visually looking at. So we need to get it right, and we can't take this lightly. So I'll start off by finding the center point of your scalp there, and then we work with that. So there's a few things that we can do to depict where the most natural looking hairline is going to be for you. Now, one of those things is just raising your eyebrows up. So if you used to raise your eyebrows up like I'm doing now, you know, need a bit of Botox maybe. Is that a thing? Blokes get that, but maybe I need it. So if you lift your eyebrows up, you can see, like, you know, that last muscle on my scalp. It's quite clear with the amount of wrinkles I got, but you can see that muscle there, right? Now, that's normally a really good point of starting. What I would say is that's probably the lowest point you can go. You don't really want to be coming onto that muscle, because every time you move your eyebrows or move your eyes, it's going to move and it's just going to look unnatural. So that's probably the lowest point you can get. And then what you'll find is that muscle will sort of create a bit of a shape comes to your hairline. Mine's quite straight, so I could probably have quite a straight hairline if it was working on my SMP. So that's a starting point. I also use like the 4-finger rule. This is just a guide, right? All of these things I'm telling you is just a guide to get you there or thereabouts. Now, we normally find a low point and we normally find a high point, because when it comes to hairlines, everyone's always frightened about going too low, which, yeah, you don't want to go too low. That would be bad. But at the same time, you don't want to be going too high. You know, you go too high, it's just going to look just as unnatural as it would do if it was too low. So there's like a sweet spot where we want to be hitting. Anywhere within that sweet spot's fine, but I normally sort of like at least a fingernail above your lowest point is where I'd probably like to start. Unless you're like super confident now, like, you know what, Will, I'm here for this. Like, just put it there. And you was giving me that energy, that feedback. I'll be like, right, this guy he knows what he wants. Let's just give it to him. Let's deliver. Yeah. But if you was a little bit unsure and you're not quite sure and you're sort of letting me guide you, then 1000%, just go the fingernail above, because then you've always got room to move. So you can always drop it down a little bit, have it a little bit more receded, have it a little bit less receded. There's just room to go, and we always want to have something in the old back pocket. Do you get what I mean? So then once I've done the center point, I'll get your side profiles in. Now, when it comes to side profiles, I know we're talking about hairlines today, right? But the side profiles are part of the job. Now, me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone else. I only ever speak for myself. I don't like too much going on the side profiles. You know, if you've got a little remnants of like light hairs there, to me, that's enough. I don't think you need to add too much, because again, I'll say this in other videos and it does sound cheesy, right? But less is more, you know. We can keep people off the scent and they're not gonna know what's going on. So if you've got a little bit of side profiles in there, just leave it. You don't wanna build them up too much. Only build them up if you need to. I don't mind if they fade out a little bit. I just wanna frame the face. The detail's gonna be the hairline when you get that. That's where we're going with that. So keep the side profiles nice and subtle and just frame your face. So you can see me talking to my lovely client here. You can see where I've sort of kind of used his fingers to get that point and that muscle. And once we've got the center point, I'll make sure that it's correct. I'll get your side profiles in, roughly. You know, I have a certain dimension that I like to use from the point of where your hairline is to where I'll draw a mark back and then draw a line across, just to get the points of where we're going to bring the side profiles in and where we're going to return the hairlines into. Don't ask me why, it's just what I've always done and it's just worked out well, right? But then what we'll do at that point, we'll either drop it down or up, depending on how receded or rounded or straight you want that hairline. And then, yeah, once we got that point, we get the other points in, and then I like to check just to make sure, because I've got an engineering background. So although I use my eye to get it right, because it's what you're looking at, I'll double check it with dimensions, yeah, because what do they say? Measure twice, make once, something like that. I think the saying goes something like that. Do it. Measure it twice and then make it once. Anyway, that's what we do. We just check. Now, what's important to understand as well is if we're a millimetre or two out, don't panic. If it looks right, it is right. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, it might be different to what I'm looking at. We try to find a happy medium when it comes to symmetry and how it looks on your scalp. So then, yeah, once we've got those points in, I'll find the center point between that point and that point. And then that's when I start to sweep it, whether you want it receded or rounded or squared off. And then I get one side in. Usually I like you to see that one side to make sure you're happy with it, of the shape. We match the other side and that's your hairline. And like I said to you before, we've always got room to move. As long as you leave it that fingernail above, you've always got room to adjust it. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go into too much detail because this video is for you guys that want the hairline, not you guys that are trying to do hairlines. So I'm trying to sort of guide you as clients the best way possible when it comes to personalised design and hairlines. Now, depending on what artist you pick, whether it's me or somebody else, there's more than one ways to skin a cat, right? But that's how we get ours, and I'm going to show you on screen now. And then once the hairline's in, one thing I will add, please don't get too frightened when you see like a hatched white pencil mark on your scalp. It can look a little bit like, wow, like, you know, sometimes it can appear a little bit lower than what you think, but usually I opt for the softer feathered sort of finish, and you usually find you can go a little bit lower than what you think you can. And then once you rub that white line, you just see the odd impressions just here and there. It's good. It's just, that white line is just literally a border for us to know, like, do not go past this point, and that's it. Cool. Another thing to add, obviously, depending on what kind of treatment you're getting, you might be someone that has had a hair transplant and you've actually got a bit of a hairline in and you're umming and ahhing whether to grow it out a little bit or keep it short. If that's the case, I would opt for staying behind your hairline. So when it comes to designing the hairline, we're pretty much governed by what you've had done already. But that's just a safe option. So you can grow your hair up, grow it down, you know, shave it down, whatever you like. So we're governed by the hairline that you've been given by your transplant surgeon. Or you might just have typical male pattern baldness, but you seem to have retained a little bit of your hairline, and it's mainly the crown that's gone. So you're kind of like going for a little bit more of a density feel. Again, in which case, work behind the hairline and you've got options. Or you might be in that position, you've got a hairline there, but it's raised up, it's, you know, it's traveled back a little bit. If that's the case and you want to drop your hairline, change the shape, then that's when it reverts back to what I'm explaining in this video about how we get your perfect hairline in. But I just thought I'd add that because you might be sitting there wondering, well, how does it work if I've had a transplant and I've got a hairline? The last thing I want to add is if you've had a transplant or you've got a hairline but you want to drop it down and you know for certain that you're going to keep your hair shaved down and short indefinitely, then we can drop it, give you the perfect hairline, and you're good as gold. But it's just a couple little options. I have explained it in other videos, but I just thought you know, you can't hear it enough really. It just gives you the option so you can make the most informed decision when it comes to your SMP moving forward. So that's today's video on how we create a perfect hairline, new hairline for scalp micropigmentation for you. In next week's video, I'm going to talk to you about the 3 most popular hairlines when it comes to scalp micropigmentation. I'm also going to give you my tips and advice on what I would personally go for and what most people come here for. So that'll be in next week's video. If you do have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. If you want some examples of someone similar to yourself, you know, drop us a DM. You can find us on all socials. All of our details can be found on www.scalpnation.co.uk. See you on the next one.